Neil, very nice to meet you again, and welcome to RTE in Ireland.
Thank you.
If I could ask you first, when we were speaking about the first Smurfs, you were talking about the logistics of working and reacting to these little creatures and the height and whatever and the level. I presume at this time around, from day one, where you right off the bat were able to sort of interact and know what to do exactly.
Yeah, pretty right off the bat. It was weirdly like riding a bike. We spent a lot of time on the first one being nervous about whether the eye line was going to work and whether it would all was going to look good. And I think it all looked really great. So my confidence level was high going into the second one, and everyone's was. So there was no real doubt. And without that, you can accomplish a lot more. And so I realized that you had to act with a lot more commitment than you normally would. If I'm looking at you, we can just have a nice scene. But if you're a Smurf, I really have to, look more actively at you. And so we did a lot more of that.
There's a lot of confidence in the last movie, but could you even in your wildest dreams have expected it to have been so successful, and not only just at the box office, but also in terms of what people's reactions to it as well, which is obviously even more important?
I was blown away by its success. I mean, I don't think anyone can predict that a movie's going to be that financially successful the first go-round, and it was lovely to be a part of that movie. And yeah, it's nice to have parents come up and say that they've watched the movie 3 times a day because they have 4-year-old children, and they still seem to like it. That always makes us feel kind of good.
Amongst the changes to your character this time out is the addition of a character playing your father-in-law, who's my compatriot, Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson.
So how was he to work opposite?
Oh, Brendan was fantastic. That was the one element of this sequel that I was most nervous about, was who was going to play this part of Victor, because that was my whole storyline, was my stepdad and my not getting along, and I wanted to make sure they didn't cast just a comedic buffoon that was just going to be kind of one note along the whole way through. And Brendan is sort of anti that. I mean, he can play buffoonish, but literally everything that he does, whether it's very, very funny or very dramatic or dangerous, is always rooted in a realism that is just innate within him. And so when I heard his name, I was like, yes, that's perfect. That makes perfect sense. He'd be great. I'd love to act with him every day. And we had a great time together.
And from your own point of view, Neil, from being a dad, does that help with your character? Because obviously you have all those emotions and you're able to convey all of them on screen.
It does. Most of my fatherhood issues in the second movie are dealing with my dad. So it wasn't like I was having to be so parental. In fact, I was anything being a little childish. So I didn't have to spend too much time pondering my own sort of family situation, because thankfully I love my dad and we get along really well, and I'm hoping my kids think I'm cool. But it was nice to know that I just am a dad, and it made me feel like the shoes fit pretty well. Yeah.
And just as a final question then, Neil, how is it possible to juggle to wear all the hats that you do, whether it's in music, in theatre, and big screen, small screen, magic and illusion? There's a lot of things going on in the world of Neil Patrick Harris. So how do you keep everything up in the air?
I have a fantastic assistant that can figure out when I can do all these things and slot them in. I don't know. I've just been very, very lucky and relatively successful in a few different areas. So when hosting stuff comes my way, we figure out how to make it work. And thankfully, the people on How I Met Your Mother allow me a little bit of time off if I need to, or we try and slot stuff in when. We made the Smurfs 1 and Smurfs 2 on the summer breaks between seasons of How I Met Your Mother, and it's coming to its conclusion in another year, and then who knows what'll happen, but I'll certainly have more free time to decide.
Oh, no! Don't worry, Smurfs. It doesn't matter where you came from. What matters is who you choose to be.
Let's go!
And I thought I had a bad side.
Get it!
Nice shot!
Right in the Smurf berries.
The Smurfs 2.